where it started. Where where does Lorenzo Plaatjies finally say, "Cool, I'm an artist"?
Yo, I didn't. I never called myself an artist until other people started calling me an artist. But it was more interest and challenge. So first, I built the initial interest in art where I was in high school and I was like rapper guy. I was like, I need album covers and mixtape covers for myself. So I designed them myself, and that's when I got an interest in actually like creativity and visual creativity, because I was more interested in the visual sketching mixtape covers and stuff than I was the music at some point. And then
you made the music as well, no?
Yeah, you won't find it, but but then I got to college and it became about challenge, where I didn't have the resources to compete with my peers in a sense, where they all had laptops and computers and they could go home and finish assignments, and I didn't have any of that because I was on bursary and everything. So I just did my assignments on my phone because we all have phones. So whenever we got like, you need to design a poster or you design a visual ad, I would do it on my phone, and I got really good at that. So that's where it all started, and that's where it became art after a while.
Okay, step back. So everybody who had laptops was designing stuff on their laptops.
Yeah.
You downloaded apps, obviously.
Yeah.
And found a way to make it work on your phone.
Yes, and to be on their level, because that's when I was studying creative comms, so we had to come up with like really visually interesting, what's next, innovative, and it was resourcefulness, I think, because every apps are free. You can draw on your phone for free. You can sketch and things for free. But when it comes to PC, you need to get those apps and like those programs like Illustrator and all that. So at some point, and I think it's in like maybe South African blood to be like that resourceful to, I'm gonna like do the stuff on my phone, it works. Because I know rappers and stuff who make music on their cell phones and stuff. So yeah,
So there's no excuse actually not to be able to create or to make stuff.
Yeah, no excuse. Like, I don't think there's an excuse. If you really want to do it, you'll find a way.
And then your lecturers knew that you were designing on your phone?
They didn't. They found out eventually. Mostly because the quality of work. But when I started, they didn't notice. And then eventually they were like, so you did this on your phone? And I was like, yeah, I did. And they didn't have a problem with it. Because I got really good at it eventually. So they were like, okay, it's cool. That's your thing. We get how you do your stuff. So yeah. And I only spent a year in college, so there was not that much time for me to, for them to have a back and forth about my process and everything.
Spent a year in college, and then you just went out and did your own thing?
Yeah, I spent a year in college, and then I decided I wanted to freelance and focus more on what I want to do. So I was really into art more than I was into what I was doing in college. So I was like, I want to move into this direction of the art world and the art scene, the fashion scene as well. So I dropped out. It was for a year. I told myself, I'm gonna drop it for a year, I'm gonna go back. I didn't end up going back because this is the year after. So last year was my year of like just creating whatever I want to create, investing in what I wanted to invest in, and it was a fun year. I did a lot of freelancing, a lot of collabs, which I feel is important because the similarities between college and when you freelance is you're building a portfolio.
Yeah.
So I was on track either way, and eventually I ended up not going to college because I got a job at an advertising agency, which what I was studying for in the first place.
Then how do you make from advertising? Are you working, got a full-time job?
Yeah.
Where do you find the time to? Because I know what it's like.
Yeah.
Where do you find the time to find your signature style that we all know now?
I feel like my style is very developing, but it's really difficult to find time. I'm lucky where I work in a creative space, so I'm always around creativity and innovation. So that's a space for me to also build on my own brand, where I see other things and I'm like, okay, this is so interesting. This is cool. And then I go home at night, evenings, and I do what I want to do with what I learned at where I work. So it's a beautiful thing that I get to actually work in a creative space, and that is my initial interest. So evenings, like when I get home, that's when I turn off advertising and I just delve into like creating whatever I want to create.
I mean, your portraits, for example, like because I don't think we've had like this. I've bought a piece from you.
Yeah.
You know how I don't even know how it came about. Like I saw this thing pop up on Instagram, and then like I DM'd you, like I need to get the piece, you know.
Yeah.
And then since then I've been trying to put so many people onto you. Like, yo,
Yeah.
you better invest in this guy.
Yeah,
this guy's gonna blow up, and then he's not even gonna want to speak to me. So.
Yeah.
I've never really had a long enough conversation with you to understand why you do the portraits that you do, why you've chosen the colors. What's that about? What's the story?
I had a lot going on at the time when I was like, I had this need to make art, and a lot that was going on in my world, in my environment. I used the art to channel that. So I think when you look at my art, you look at the portraits, you can see this man's going through something.
Pain.
Yeah, and anxiety and teenage angst and all those things. And I think the people who appreciate my art, they can feel that. And that's why there's such a connection to the art pieces. And what's weird, when you wanted to buy the piece, is like, not a lot of people invest in buying digital art, because it is a digital art. It's not, it can be printed 1,000 times over, but you still invested in that. The new digital artists are sort of like the new graffiti artists, or we're sort of revolutionizing what art is, because people don't consider it to be art. So yeah, I consider it to be art, not as much design, because I know it's in the design field, digital art is in the design field, but I always considered it to be art, and I always thought art should be expressive, and you should be free to do whatever you want to do with no judgment.
But everybody's always crying.
Yeah, everyone's always crying. Hey. No, everyone's always crying. Sometimes I can be really happy, but I'm drawn to the aesthetic of I always pick really aesthetically pleasing things to draw or illustrate. So I'll choose like maybe like a model, or even just a cool scene from a movie that I think is really beautiful, and I'll find something to channel some sort of anxiety or some sort of like longing or any really negative feeling into it. Because when you play with pain and pleasure, you get something really interesting. So when you have that pleasure from the aesthetic, and then you have that pain from looking at the person, like, are they not happy? It interests you more, you know. Like, I don't know. I think it's interesting playing with pain and pleasure. And a lot of the greatest paintings, no one's hard. Like the Mona Lisa isn't smiling. Like, so
absolutely.
Yeah.
Just kind of like, I don't really like.
Yeah.
Can we do this again, please?
Yeah.
What, and because you have a signature background, it's always
the pink. Yeah.
What does that mean?
I felt like I needed to rebel against something. Like a lot of my art was very emotional, like people crying, stuff like that. But it was aesthetic as well, and I felt like I had a platform to rebel. And I wanted to rebel against this connotation with pink to femininity and all the other things that masculinity, or as a man you can't associate yourself with that, or it's shunned upon. You know what I mean? And I felt like I wanted to rebel against that. And I want to rebel against the idea that men can't feel. You know, a lot of my art was emotional. A lot of my art was pink and flowers, and I was rebelling against that.
The thing that always impresses people when I tell them about you and your work is when I tell them that you drew this on a phone. And they go, how?
Yeah.
So how?
Yo, how do I even describe it? It's crazy, because for me it was like, I'm very like, I move forward in my life when I'm challenged. So whenever I'm challenged, I push forward. Like in college, where I was challenged, like I need to be on their level. How am I gonna do it? And then it got to a point where I was on Instagram and I was looking at all these amazing painters and amazing artists, and I was like, I need to be on their level. How do I get there? And I pushed myself with what I have to, and I think I can say I'm on their level. Like people confuse my art with paintings all the time, and I'm like, nah, it's not a painting. It's a digital piece I did on my phone. So I pushed myself, and a lot came with that, because without knowing it, I would get like I begin ranking up on things like Behance and stuff like. And I was like, oh, this comes along with pushing yourself and yeah. So I just push myself. There's no way to describe it. I wish I could say it's this technique, where but it's just pushing yourself. It's like.
Do you use your finger or do you have a stylus?
Yeah, I use my finger. I bought. Yeah, I use my finger. It feels more natural for me when I use my finger because I've always been.
Does a piece take?
It doesn't take as long as you think. It actually does. It takes about 8 hours in total to finish one piece. Yeah, but since I have a day job, I have to break it up. But it takes about 8 hours.
Why don't you want to evolve?
So I have a tablet now that I'm trying to experiment with, but after like 2 years or 3 years of drawing on your phone, it feels natural to do it, and it's convenient. Like sitting outside now, I could be working on a piece. Yeah. That's the advantage I have over the artists from 10 years ago who had to be in a studio.
Set up.
Yeah, I had to. Yeah,
anyway.
I can work wherever I am. I can be on a taxi. I can be working. So it feels good to be able to do that, to scratch that itch whenever you want to. So those are the blessings that came along with just working on your phone.
So anybody out there who's like, because creatives are always making excuses about resources and money and things like that. How do you sum it up for them? Because you've become, I consider you incredibly successful, and if ever I talk about you to anybody, I'm always like, you have to invest in this guy because he's so far ahead of everyone else. And I see a lot of other work out there, but yours, I'll always go like physically type your name in to see what else you've done, because you change it up and you switch it up and you're always moving. You're never stagnant.
And that's good to hear, because a lot of I work like a musician would. I don't. I like to work on a look and feel before I just release, just artwork, because I like to work on collections and like classic artists of Renaissance periods where they work on entire collections, and even ad campaigns. It's not one ad, it's 360.
It's a 360 campaign.
Yeah, so that's how I create as well. So there's a long time before I start posting new stuff, but when I do, it comes, it's a lot.
And so, what are you building towards though? Like what's the vision? Like where do you want to end up?
I have a vision for the right now and what I want to see in myself, but I don't have a vision looking forward. So I have the need to create, and I'm obsessed with visual art in general. Like I sit on Instagram going through artist art and like paintings, and I like books where you can't actually like find this art online. I would like go get the book in the magazine. I'm still obsessed with that, and I'm still challenging myself to be as good as all the other artists I see. So I have that. I don't have a vision looking forward. I have a vision looking at right now and what I want to see in my work, and that's how it's always been. And I feel like it works for me, because when you look too forward, it can become intimidating. But when you look at what I can make right now, it's more achievable, and you have that innate drive to actually do it and get it done.